What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Wednesday, May 8th, 2019. I'm one of your hosts on this beautiful Widow Wednesday, Greg Miller, alongside Fran Mirabella III, the best hair in the business.
Good morning.
How are you, sir?
All right, filling in for Gary, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I tried to attack him and make fun of because I came off the airplane, landing on Sunday night, ran into him in the airport. I was like, are you not on the show this week? And he's like, no. And he's like, I thought I told you. I'm like,
yeah. Cool stuff,
and then I mentioned it, and Andrew's like, no, he totally told you. I was like, oh, damn.
That's all right.
Thought I had him dead to rights. It didn't.
Good news for me.
Great news for you,
Gary,
Fran. Or should I call you the new co-host of the Destiny Community Podcast? Congratulations, Fran!
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yes.
Boo, traitor indeed.
I am back on a weekly Destiny show on Thursday nights at 6 p.m. DCP_live. They got an underscore in their name, too.
Yeah, well, that's how you got to do it. That's what the cool kids have, right? Them and Nick.
But it'll be good to be back on a weekly Destiny podcast. Obviously doing Fire Team Chat before over IGN.
Never heard of it.
I would happily do it, but, you know, they're not going to pay me. Plus, I got to go all the way down to the office.
And you got to talk to Destin.
And I got to talk to Destin.
You kidding me right now?
3 reasons not to do that.
That's 3 strikes and you're out. Fran Mirabella not doing that.
Destiny will always be a part of my life.
That's the problem. It's because the other night, of course, Scott Lowe texts and he's like, hey, I see you're playing The Division. And I was like, I'm actually watching a movie, but I'm getting ready to get back into play The Division. And he's like, let's do it. I'm like, cool. Went to check on your Twitch stream. Of course, there you are playing Destiny 2.
I know.
I pop in the chat. I'm like, hey, Fran, let's play Division 2. You totally didn't see it. I left. and then I came back.
No, I was talking to you for a while.
Last night, I came back and I was like, hey, stop playing this Destiny trashola.
2 nights ago.
Play some goddamn Division.
All right. Well, we got you VIP'd in chat now, too, because I missed you.
I saw that. Yeah, I'm very excited about that. Yeah,
anyway.
Of course, if you don't know, Fran streams pretty much every night, twitch.tv/FM3_.
Thank you, Greg.
There you go. No problem. That's what I'm here for. I'm excited.
That's right.
We have a lot of stuff to talk about, including some Division stuff. Also, a new John Wick game from Mike Bithell, EA Financials, and more, because this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about. If you like that, be part of the show, patreon.com/kindafunnygames with your questions, comments, concerns, and everything else under the video game sun. Then tune in to watch us record the show live on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames. If you're watching live, you have a special job. Go to kindafunny.com/you're wrong. Tell us what we screw up as we screwed up so we can set the record straight for everybody watching later on youtube.com/kindafunnygames, roosterteeth.com, and listening on podcast services around the globe. I was worried. Spilled water on my paper before. Everyone's freaking out. I'm like, the paper will be fine. But then I was like, will it still have that crisp?
Will it have it? Still sounds good. I think we're in okay.
Yeah, that's good.
I wanted to do it with you. I forgot.
Shut up, Kevin.
You're right, I'm sorry.
No one's in the mood for you today. Housekeeping for you. Remember, Fran's on that Destiny Community Podcast every Thursday night, right? Is it live? You watch it live?
6 p.m. Pacific time live, yes.
Okay.
It's obviously podcast services around.
There you go. You're allowed to steal that on their show, too.
Yeah, we'll try. I'm going to steal all that stuff we've learned here, Greg.
Remember, if you are watching live with us on Twitch or you're planning on watching KFAF after this, after that on twitch.tv/kindafunnygames, we're doing a Kinda Funny town hall. We're catching you up on where we're at with all the promises we made in January for Kinda Funny content and plans. If you miss it, recaps will be up on the Reddit on the kindafunny.com. I'm sure maybe somebody will highlight it on Twitch. I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
I put in your chat the other day.
Like a clip, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. I jumped in your chat and you're like, oh man, I'm not used to seeing you as Game Over Greg. Yeah. And I was like, I got logged out of the Kinda Funny account. I can't get the password to work.
Seeing you in there as Game Over Greg, because when people show up as Kinda Funny Games in chat, I'm like, I don't know
always
who
me.
it is.
It's always going to be me. Yeah. Oh. Unless we're at work and like Kevin's on it or like, we're doing the shows or something. It's always going to be
normally
me. Don't worry about that.
Sometimes it's me.
Use Game Over Greggy.
But then I got to log into 2 things.
Right, I guess so.
A lot of logs going on. I don't got that.
Why do you even have to log in? For another time. But.
Thank you to our Patreon producers, Tom Bach, Blackjack, and Mohammed. Today we're brought to you by Hims and 23andMe, but I'll tell you about that later. For now, let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news. 5 items on the Roper Report.
Baker's dozen.
We're starting with one so big it had to be number 1. There's a John Wick video game coming from Mike Bithell. Publisher Good Shepherd Entertainment, in partnership with global content leader Lionsgate, has announced John Wick Hex, the upcoming video game from acclaimed game director Mike Bithell. Volume, Thomas Was Alone, Subservice Circular. John Wick Hex is a fast-paced, action-oriented strategy game that makes you think and strike like John Wick, the professional hitman in Lionsgate's critically acclaimed film franchise, returning to theaters worldwide May 17, 2019, with John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum. The game is in development for consoles and will be available for Windows, PC, and Mac exclusively via the Epic Games Store at launch. Created in close cooperation with the creative and stunt teams behind the films, John Wick Hex is fight choreographed chess brought to life as a video game, capturing the series' signature gung fu style while expanding the story universe. Players must choose every action and attack they make while considering their immediate costs and consequences. Every move in John Wick Hex feels like a scene from the movies, and every fight contributes to your progress on the job and requires precise strategic thinking. Perform well and progress in the main story mode, parentheses, which features an original story created for the game, to unlock new weapons, suit options, and locations. Each weapon changes up the tactics you'll use and the manner in which you'll play. Ammo is finite, realistically simulated, so time your reloads and make the most of your weapons you scavenge on the job. John Wick Hex complements the style of the films with a unique graphic noir art design and features the world-class voice talents of Ian McShane and Lance Reddick amongst its stellar cast, which with other casts for the game to be revealed later.
Lance Reddick, Zavala in Destiny as well.
Oh yeah, I had no idea.
Oh god, he got a good look on Phobos. That guy.
Sure, yeah,
That's
I believe
him.
you totally.
For
I
sure.
totally am
Anyway.
with you right there.
I just wanted to do that.
Why is this not in New Dates? Why is it here? It's Mike Bithell, of course, friend of the show. We love Mike Bithell, of course, and this is such a cool move for Mike because of, as they point out, right? Volume, Thomas Was Alone, Subservice Circular.
Yeah.
Games, I think us hardcore, winky, whatever you want to call us, gamers, right? Not influencers, informed members of the video game populace know Mike Bithell, know the kind of quality work he does. And for me to see him get an actual IP like John Wick.
Yeah, huge franchise.
Not that I think he's out there pitching left and right trying to do stuff. I think it speaks to where video games are at now as we get closer and closer and closer to, I feel, what movies have. Where we were just talking about, like right now, Endgame, right? And the Russo brothers. And we on the Kind of Funny podcast, we were going through what they've announced, or I guess it was in review, announced so far for the next run of Marvel movies.
Yeah.
And Tim was naming all the directors they've picked. And he's like, she did this indie flick, he did this little thing, this, and we're all like, don't know him.
Yeah.
But I remember when the Russo brothers were like, yeah, they filmed some Arrested Development. Like people know them from Arrested Development. And you're like, that doesn't sound like a great fit for superheroes. Here we are in video games, right? Where, Mike Bithell, a guy who's proven he can make awesome games, smaller games, is getting a major IP, right? A third major motion picture with Keanu Reeves. They're getting in there and getting to do something.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, just for the exposure, obviously, I think maybe is what you're driving at, but it's like, whether or not it's a perfect fit for John Wick, I don't know.
The
games, it sounds a little like Volume, maybe, or I don't know. I didn't get to play these, but
I mean, when you watch, Kevin, you want to bring up the trailer?
yeah, sure. I didn't see it.
John Wick Hex. It just dropped. When you look at it, it very much looks like a Mike game, because Mike games aren't. I would never say are action oriented. We're doing this frantic combat. And I think if you're, hey, make me a John Wick game, right? Cool. We're gonna have bullet time. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that.
Yeah.
You look at this thing, right? And what it is like it's really a strategy game. And the way that like I think we joke around about how Telltale's Batman had you go through and like pick what you wanted to do. This one is in the moment to moment, like what do you want to do? And there's all these systems that pop on screen when you hover over it and you get ready to make your move. It's coming up here in a sec, Kev, the actual gameplay. But you see it go through and it's like, because if you're an audio listener, you don't, this isn't playing for you. But right now you're getting this trailer that is very cinematic. It does have that art style. It does. It looks like John Wick, right? But then it actually goes into the gameplay here as it runs through.
That's cool.
Mike Bithell, and you're going to see a whole bunch of PC menus pop up. See, like, so Kevin, can you give me a scroll back and pause?
Okay, it's a little closer, I'd say, to the third-person character.
It reminds me a bit. I mean, this is just at a glance, right? But look at it. It looks like a tactics game. It looks like Child of Light. It looks like, to an extent, an XCOM, where at the top you see the right guard, surprise, move. Like you see what the other characters are about to do, and then you see where you go and you piece together what you want to do.
Yeah,
so right there
game.
for it pops up, right? You see the mouse hovering, and what does John want to do? Does he want to shoot? Does he want to throw his gun? You see it costs health, it costs time. You actually have to go in there and
those are currencies.
I think John Wick. I would think if you were to tell me they're making a John Wick game, I'm going to stop and basically think of like My Name is Pedro, right? That Devolver's getting ready to publish, which is bullet time, run through, shoot everything, kick tables. And it's
like make it Max Payne. Why not?
Exactly.
That's
And you look at this and it's like, oh, what an interesting way to take this thing that's known for you're as badass that can, basically curve bullets like Wanted. You're actually getting in there and you can survey a scene and know exactly what you're about to do.
Yeah, now that I see the trailer, it's making a lot more sense. Like he's strategically piecing together, how am I going to approach this fight? You choose stuff you want to do. I have to imagine it plays out. Yeah, with some of the cutscenes that play out, so you get some of the cinematic nature. That was the piece I think at a glance I wasn't sure with the Bithell style games or not if you'd get all this cinema look, but it looks cool.
Yeah, and I mean, again, it's just awesome to see Mike get on that, and I think it speaks to what I want Marvel Games to do as well, where we talk about that. Where sure, great, yeah, you're working with Insomniac, you're working with the Avengers team, Crystal. Give it to a smaller thing. Camouflage is a great move. Camouflage for PlayStation VR, right? Doing Iron Man. That's a small team making a smaller game.
What did they do beforehand?
Cool. They did Republic. Remember, it was Ryan Payton. He did Metal Gear stuff before then. Yeah. I think it's cool to see our industry and the developer side of it taken seriously enough that now you have brands and IP going like, okay, cool. Let's not hire a team to make something from scratch that isn't going to be good. Let's not try to do a licensed cash-in money grab. Let's get it to somebody who's cool and can do something cool with it. I imagine everybody in that boardroom was like, we want to make a John Wick game, make it fast and crazy and guns. And then Mike Bithell walks in with his little British accent. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's all covered in the chimney soot like he always is from being over there working in the UK. He's like, we got more fucking games for you.
I knew it was coming. No, I totally agree. If they would be a little less protective, actually, I think, of the big movie franchises and let some of these very talented smaller teams work on stuff that's a little more inventive. Yeah. Not that I don't want to see like Control and that team up there at Remedy doing a John Wick game.
Sure,
I'd be like, yes, 100% makes sense probably. Although I like seeing them do original stuff, which is another side effect. But seeing people that make sort of different style games like Jonathan Blow and like the Hades team and all that.
Yeah,
right?
Man, God,
it would be awesome to see them get a cool big franchise, maybe a comic franchise.
Exactly, right? And that's what you're talking about. See what Supergiant could do with that, what Jonathan Blow could do with that. Yeah, exactly. Cool time to be making games. Congratulations to you, Mike Bithell. We love you and appreciate you. Number 2, let's talk about EA financials. We have 3 different people reporting on them. There was a financial earnings call from EA, and everybody broke something different out. We're going to start with Brendan Sinclair over at GamesIndustry.biz, who writes, Electronic Arts ended its fiscal year on a sour note. The publisher today announced its results for the fourth quarter of its fiscal year 2019, revealing revenues down 22% to $1.24 billion and net income down 66% to $209 million. However, net booking for the quarter were up almost 9% to $1.34 billion. Of course, the big stars of this talk of the fourth quarter, right, and the fiscal year were Apex Legends and Anthem. Coming out to actually run anchor on that, right, and it appears disappoint. No shock there. I think everybody knows where Anthem ended up in that. It would have hurt him in the bottom line area.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a fiscal. is this a quarter-to-quarter comparison or a year-on-year?
The publisher today announced its results for the fourth quarter of its fiscal year, 2019.
Okay, so in other words, I didn't realize if those comparisons are quarter-on-quarter or the last year versus
if they were
this
fiscal year versus fiscal year.
But either way, the numbers, we already knew. We've been watching the reports from EA, and they haven't been coming in as very positive. I think it was a question for sure of like, is Apex Legend going to dig them out of this hole? I don't. You can now see the numbers. Like one game releasing for about 1 month or month and a half within the fourth quarter is not,
so I think this is getting reported because it's the end of the fourth quarter, but it's ended their financial year on this. The fourth quarter, recently completed fourth quarter. Maybe it is just fourth quarter.
Yeah, in other words, it should have said, right?
So what I just read was fourth quarter, and then it says for the full year, EA's revenue was down 4% to $4.95 billion. Bookings were down 5% to $4.94 million.
Did it have the net income or net profit in there?
Net income was off just over 2%. Was off just over 2%. So it was down 2%.
Down 2% year on year.
To $1.02 billion, yeah.
So I think year on year. That's what's interesting to me is like, okay, you also are talking about holiday season, if I got my quarters right here, right? So talking about through December.
We're talking beyond that, right? Because they're talking about fiscally beyond. So it'd be like what?
Well, I mean for the quarterly numbers, right?
Yeah, but like that, the reason we're including Apex and Anthem, right, is because it bled into this year.
It's now, meaning the report is of this quarter is all I'm saying, but you're
Right.
comparing it with previous year. Anyway, I guess the main point is, first of all, it doesn't surprise. Apex sounds good overall.
Sure.
And I know there's more in here that I think is really interesting, but outside of Apex, you know, I kind of wonder what right now they're counting on bringing in the dough. And yeah, Anthem was, I think they were hoping, obviously, would be bigger than it was. It was,
Of course.
if I recall, sales. It was in the top 15 in the last report we had read on the show in terms of March sales or something like that. So it wasn't like a bomb.
Sure, but top
But
15 isn't even where they wanted to be, and definitely
if
off the critical scores.
I got that right.
Kindoffunny.com/you're wrong. Where was Anthem in? You want to do March or you want to do? Where's
think
it
we
been
only-
in NPD?
I think we only have March. I don't think we have
February, right? It came out in February.
Yes.
Yeah.
But meaning sales in.
I see what you're saying. My apologies. I
Yeah.
see what
No,
you're
it's
saying.
okay. And again, I don't remember if we read through. We shouldn't have April sales yet. I don't think. 'cause
No,
it's very early.
the April sales will come in the middle.
It
of
was
the month.
because Division 2 had topped March, remember? And
Fuck yeah, dude. You know what I'm talking about?
I know.
Quit this Destiny podcast, dude.
Anyway.
There's nothing to talk about.
You got to be
for it.
careful when I'm sitting up here spouting out like I'm pretty sure it was this
That's
number.
why we got kindoffunny.com/you're wrong. Don't worry about it.
But
Destiny sucks.
The next thing about EA, though, it came more Apex Legends stuff. This is from analyst Daniel Ahmad, who was on the call and was putting this all on Twitter. Apex Legends is the fastest growing new game from EA, over 50 million players. 30% of Apex players are new to EA, focused on delivering new content with long-term service, new legends, etc. Plan to release on more platforms / new markets. EA confirmed later in the conference call that they do plan to bring Apex Legends to China and to mobile devices. Expands the... Okay, so I'm sorry. The free-to-play business model is a success, and they will look to create more free-to-play games over time. You can look for more information about Season 2. That's going to be revealed, apparently, at EA Play for E3.
On that note, I think I heard there was talk of it being released on or around at the end of June.
Season 2?
Ish, yes.
Gotcha.
So whether it's the beginning of July or the end of June, there was speculation they had said something around that,
Nanobiologist says that Anthem was number 11 for March 2019
Yeah, okay.
NPD
There we go.
results. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't top 10.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I thought it was 12. It's close. But the number that sticks out most to me here, which I think if I'm EA and I'm Andrew, what's his name again? The CEO.
We didn't even have it on there.
Oh, well, anyway, his name's Andrew something.
Is it now?
Pretty sure.
No,
Kinda funny.
isn't he one of the guys who left?
Guesses
It's
today.
Blake Jorgensen, right? Yeah.
Is it CEO? All right.
Yeah,
Well,
EA COO and CFO, Blake Jorgensen.
not CEO. Anyway, 30% of Apex players are new to EA. 30% of, let's assume
Andrew
that,
Wilson.
That's
That's
it.
everything.
See, I told you. Mr. Wilson. 30% of Apex players are new to EA. And if I'm going to assume that maybe they grab the 50 million players, that's 15 million new people exposed to EA. I would be having a party about that number. Now, can you get them to do anything else outside of Apex? Going to be very difficult. They're probably the same players that play all kinds of games for free, and that's the model. Maybe their approach to. Well, but that's a big number, and get them into. They've got them into Origin now, probably.
Yeah, if they're playing on PC like losers.
Oh yeah, on PC. That's a good point. Yeah,
I mean that you're right though that's the one that stands out to me, especially on the heels of what we talked about with I think it was within the last week, Fortnite and Epic in the Game Store, right? Where the Epic Game Store reported similar numbers in terms of double-digit, increase of. These are people who've never used any of our stuff before.
Yeah.
They've never made an Epic or what was it? Whatever. That they're new to the Epic ecosystem, which I know is the store is brand new, but still it's bringing in.
But in general, if you get them to register for an Epic account or you get them into the store, which is certainly Epic's strategy with these exclusive games and stuff. Oh yeah, we skipped on that part with the Hex game, right? But another Epic Store exclusive, it sounds like.
Sure. Yeah.
Anyway, to me, first of all, we knew it wasn't going to be a big increase year for EA. Apex, I think they didn't know. It'll be interesting to see what their projections and stuff for this year are, especially as well alongside Fallen Order. And then I knew there's a little more detail in here and what else is coming from that.
That's right. Jordan Renee over at GameSpot says, in the report, EA lists new games for both Need for Speed and Plants vs. Zombies releasing during the same quarter as Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, currently scheduled to launch on November 15th for Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC. The Need for Speed and Plants vs. Zombies releases are listed as both console and PC games, so they are probably launching on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PC.
But Fallen Order certainly their biggest upcoming property.
Sure, and that was what one of these articles was calling out. I think it was Brendan Sinclair's talking about how this quarter the quarter ended bad for them right? That Q1 really has, this quarter has nothing big for them as they gear up now to announce their big sports games. But they don't have like another AAA thing in the chamber that they're getting ready to release.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure FIFA makes a lot of dough across.
Oh, sure, the sports games clean up, but it's just that they're not going to be, it's one of those writing's going to be on the wall for the next quarter as well, right? Of like, there's no savior coming to get them right
not
now.
this summer, other than how Apex performs. And so,
sure, but even Apex has been not languishing, but it seems like it's been falling backwards.
That's what I was getting at before. Is the end of the next quarter is the end of June, right? April, May, June. So at the end of June, it's either coming at the end of this quarter or right into the next one. So yeah, you're right. The next quarter is not going to look great either. I don't think there's anything happening. But after that, now we're getting into normally, right? Madden's in August, or I don't know if that's already a known fact.
Right.
And, But you got Madden, FIFA. Is that normally September or something? Or
I got the NBA. Oh, who the hell cares? It's soccer.
Oh wow, you make a lot of enemies, Greg.
What do you think I do on this show?
Football.
You know what I mean?
But anyway, not that we. I'm not invested in EA, so I don't really care.
Yeah,
but
as for new releases, this is back to Brendan. As for new releases to help achieve those marks, EA has no major launches in the current quarter. It expects to have its 4 annualized sports titles, FIFA, Madden, NBA Live, and NHL, launch sometime in the second quarter alongside the EA original Sea of Solitude, with the holiday quarter seeing Respawn Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and the new console games in Need for Speed and Plants vs. Zombie.
Yeah, and Plants vs. Zombies is a big franchise. Can they,
it's hard to believe, right?
It's a big mobile franchise. I don't know how it did.
Well, no, they keep making Garden Warfares for consoles.
Yeah, but I don't know how they sell.
Well enough to keep making Garden Warfares, and people do, I know, get all...
Yeah, maybe it's good margin, though. Like, maybe it doesn't sell a lot, but it's not that expensive. But, again, I think what looks different and perhaps better this year is you look at last year, you had Battlefield, you didn't have Apex, you had, of course, the usual suspects. What's the Yarny game again?
Unraveled.
Unraveled. Was there one last year, or was it the year before?
That was last year, yeah. They had Unraveled 2 last year.
But anyway, you compare this year, you got Fallen Order and Apex and all the sport games, in theory, and with Plants vs. Zombies, they're in decent shape, and we don't know what else they have up their sleeve. We'll see. But anyway, this year probably looks a lot better for them, especially with the new free-to-play winner that is Apex. If they can keep the momentum, there's a lot of chatter about.
And that's the thing. That's the big question about Apex, right? Is what I'm talking about. As I mentioned, it feels like it's falling off. There's been so many articles about not even articles, but people being mad or this, that, and the other.
They take forever.
And it did seem like it burned really bright and then went away. And Vince Zampella has been public, and we've talked about on this show, right? Of like, no, we're not going to try to do the Fortnite thing. We're not going to have weekly, almost daily updates because I don't want to burn my team out that way, and we're not going to crunch that way. We've designed it for seasons. We're going to do it. He did say he thought season 1's gone on too long. That's something they're learning because again, they're new to this whole thing.
Yeah, it's hard to plan for that. Not that I wouldn't want the same thing. I would love to have more faster updates. When we got the season 1 update and the battle pass, even that, if you remember, took a while. Right, they launched the game with none of that, no battle pass. Then they got to it, and you can see they are chasing the timeline a bit. But so yes, I would love stuff sooner, faster, especially when you make updates to the meta, and all of a sudden people are like, "Man, Wingman, that was the gun. I loved it."
But then there is this argument, right, of like, cool, the Fortnite thing's cool in terms of there's always something happening, but I also feel Fortnite not burns out, but wears out its welcome in a way. In the way that when we were super into it after we all started playing it after E3 and then into that season, when it was Fortnite Stories, we were bringing up because we were actually super excited and it was like we had something to talk about because now stuff's happening. It's like, oh, the drum guns have been re-added. The new season drops tomorrow. I feel like there's a fine line between what episodic gaming does, where it's like, guess what, everybody, we all love Walking Dead, and there's a new episode, and even that wore out its welcome, but stick with me. The new episode drops next week or in 2 months. It's going to be interesting to see if Apex's, hey, guess what? Season 2, another giant free content update drop is happening, and we haven't talked about anything in 2 months. Is that going to drum up support at EA Play this year? Is it going to be, obviously I think Jedi Fallen Order runs away with it in terms of like most anticipated thing, but is it the next one Apex? And they're like, hey, we've been quiet. Here's everything we've been working on for since the launch of season 1.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. There's a point where you trickle out content and it just becomes the norm. And so it becomes the norm. You're like, okay, of course there's a new season for Fortnite. Of course there's a new battle pass. It'll be cool new skins. And it's actually amazing the amount of content they have. It's the counter argument is even with all that stuff in there, Greg, they can't turn your eyes back to it. But I would point out a game like Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead, the Rockstar model, they keep you sort of with such low oxygen for so long that when they give you a little bit of a whiff of the real stuff after 5 years, you're like, oh my gosh, and the hype meter is huge. I don't know if that's what you were getting at, but meaning there's a way to do it that's not too frequent.
Sure.
But not too far out.
Oh, you said, can they keep it going that way for Apex? And I think they can. I feel like we are in a way more than ever where it is that we all switch off these games as a service. And maybe you don't play all of them, but you play a couple of them. And it is that, like, we're going to talk about Division 2 changes that are coming up here in a bit, right? And they even know that, like, when I go on there, right? I remember when we were playing last month and everyone was on that thing. And now I sign on there and it's just me and Poe Dameron every time in the Kind of Funny clan, which we also need to discuss. We'll discuss later. I feel like if you give people a reason to come back, they'll switch off. Like, you go to play a lot of Destiny, then you play a lot of Division, you continue to go, and you play Apex too. But Apex has fallen off, right, for you because whatever. It's
really just time. It was because of the Division and because of Borderlands. And so I love playing Apex, actually, and it's the one game I have trouble getting back to. But I know that for the hardcore players, at least as close as I've been to it, definitely it's about some of the meta changes and how frequently they're able to balance stuff out and respond to player feedback. They're very slow and calculated with it, but that means making a change, kind of like we're seeing in Division, and then it like takes forever to make any other change. And I know that is so different than what Fortnite's doing, and that is what is really, I think, the sticking point. And there's a bunch of people who they don't even want to play Fortnite. They just want to see those updates, the patch notes every week. And the other side of that discussion, obviously, is that there's so much work being done. The teams are getting burnt out. And there's been a lot of discussion with the riot walkouts and all this stuff. Nah, that wasn't necessarily for being overworked.
It's all part of the same thing, though, being treated better, right?
Yes. And it is, I've seen the conversation, and you guys were talking about it. It's bubbling up of like, can we keep up with games as a service? And that is where I really actually respect Vince for, I don't know what the real plan is within the studio, if they're really just too busy on Star Wars that they're like, well, yeah, of course we're too busy. But it's got to be realistic. And if you're going to burn your team out, I mean, I don't know. So all I will say is for Apex, what they need with Season 2 is something pretty big, like you were getting at, more than just like a couple new characters and a couple gun skins and a new battle pass. I mean, hopefully, I don't know, something to draw us back in. If you've lapsed.
Because I feel like that's an easy sell. I think everybody who got into Apex when it launched loved Apex and was like, this is a great game and I love the ping system and I love this. And so if they come out at EA Play and they're like, hey everybody, here's everything that's happened with Season 2. We've learned from this, we've done this, new map, this, blah, 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 blah. And then it's also like, and it's available today. It's available, like, because that's always the big thing people want. Hey, guess what? Everybody gets excited at E3, you know what I mean? But then you have to wait 3 more months, 5 more months for the games. This thing's ready to go right now, and it's free, and it's available, and you can get it. Yeah.
At E3, maybe what we'll see is it'll be ready in a month, but here's the Battle Pass. But it does, I would say it needs to be significant, and to end on that note, like, doing games as a service of this type is super hard. I think almost everything we've seen, inevitably, it just drops off. Fortnite.
Sure, I mean, that's got to be a cycle. That's how it is, right?
That's just how it is. It's almost impossible to keep people's attention. It's always surprising at first, and you're going to have some growth and then some, a lapse of player. Attrition is the word I'm looking for. But Apex needs to do something a little more striking, and it is very hard to compete with Fortnite. It plays completely differently than it did last season. And
that's the same thing as like what we're talking about, right? I'm excited for tomorrow to see what the new Fortnite season looks like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're going to drop this thing, and I'm like, I love Fortnite enough, and I know I'm always eventually going to end up back at Fortnite. So what do you got? Is this the one where I actually buy the battle pass and jump back in? Or what?
They've got an advantage right now that they've been changing the map in enough ways that's like interesting. Like they added the volcano, and before it was they added a whole side of the island with ice and a throne room and a castle. Like, there's been a lot of stuff that after a while they hadn't done anything.
Yeah.
Then they started to add a lot. Hamster balls and planes and things that people hated even, but they keep changing and listening, and that's what you get players to come back to tell you they hate that week and the next week, but they're still there. Where I think, again, with Apex, it's like, I don't know what to expect until, I don't know, I guess it's like July 1st.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Good point. Mm-hmm. Number 3, we have some Persona 5 Royal details from you. This is Matt Purslow over at IGN. Persona 5's expanded re-release Royal will include an extra semester of gameplay that goes, quote, beyond the expectations of those who have experienced the volume of Persona 4 Golden, end quote. The comment comes from the latest issue of Weekly Famitsu via Gamatsu, which features an interview with the game's producer Kazushi Wada and director Daiki Ito. Ito previously directed Persona 4 Golden, and so has experience on developing expanded re-releases of Persona games. The latest issue of Famitsu also explains the new Play Assist feature, which calculates your social interactions and confidant levels, and automatically suggests people and places you should visit next. This should help players min-max their characters with more efficiency. In addition, Wada and Ito say that they're making it easier to earn experience points so you can play at a better tempo. The developer confirms that Persona 5 Royal is a standalone game and that Persona 5 save data cannot be used with the game. However, apparently there will be some kind of bonus for those who have the original Persona 5 save data. Friends, do anything for you? Did you play Persona 5?
It does in the sense that, no, I didn't get to play Persona 5.
Yeah.
And the word a better tempo, making it a little easier. Like, look, I don't know how hard it was to navigate around and play through the game. A game that I heard is like 100 hours or 100 plus hours, depending on how you play it. Maybe we need Barrett to comment on it. But
Barrett's dead.
It sounds good to me in terms of like they're improving the critical path or whatever it is and speeding things up a bit. And
honestly, the better tempo thing is a big thing for me. Where it was, I remember playing through it and beating the first couple of dungeons and then having multiple days till the next thing happened. And then like texting Goldfarb, I'm like, I'm rusty. I need to go back into the world and just grind, right? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, I don't.
Yeah,
that does not sound like something I want to do. Like,
Yeah.
I don't. I'd rather just keep going with the story and keep it, on the move. So if they can do that, that's great. And I know, Play Assist sounds like a good feature for a lot of people who are turned around, because that game is daunting when you're dropped in and you have all these things at your disposal. Like, do you want to get a job? Do you want to study? Do you want to go see friends? What do you want to like? I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah, give me a suggestion. It sounds like that's what they're working on, and some of this other stuff that I'm not as familiar with, obviously.
So hold your horses, everybody. More Personas coming. Number 4. This is a patent file, so let's not get too excited. But Microsoft may be bringing out a Braille controller. This is Rebecca Valentine over at GamesIndustry.biz. Following the success of the Xbox Adaptive Controller and a pledge to continue pursuing inclusive design, Microsoft seems to at least be considering one other type of new accessible control scheme. I'm drinking the water. It's the coffee, I tell you.
Yeah. I get to go through the same thing.
If I talk and I drink the coffee, everything's fine. I try to read something though and no. A Braille controller. So let's do the sentence again. Microsoft seems to be at least considering one other type of new accessible control scheme, a Braille controller. Dutch website Let's Go Digital spotted a patent filed by Microsoft and published last week for an Xbox controller accessory that would enable Braille output. The controller resembles a normal Xbox gamepad, but has additional hardware attached to the back of the controller that seems to allow users to both read Braille output and produce Braille input into the game. A patent shows a panel on the back of the controller with 9 dot matrices that seem to be able to form Braille letters, allowing the player to read the Braille by feeling the back of the controller. There are also 6 paddles or levels protruding from the back of the panel that seem to allow users to input Braille characters to be read by the system. Let's Go Digital adds that the patent says the controller would also allow for speech conversion into input and features a variety of haptic feedback signals.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Go get 'em.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I mean, obviously, it's just a patent, and who knows if and when those types of things come out. But the fact that they're potentially exploring this is great. I mean,
Well, it seems like it's a legit commitment to them, right? Of making gaming for everyone, which is what they said. And obviously, it can be buzzwordy in marketing, but like that's what they did with the adaptive controller. And this is a different way, right? We always talk about, our friend Steve Saylor, the blind gamer who comes on and hosts, right? And like, think about that. Somebody who wants to play games and loves to play games. And I know maybe if you're at home, and I'm wrapping my head around this as go. I did not talk to Steve ahead of time. That would have required actual planning of the show, which I didn't do. Steve, I know
Well,
you're
in
watching and
time,
listening.
we have,
Drop me a line if I'm wrong or other instances. But like, I can understand as somebody who's never thought about this before. Well, if I need Braille, how could I play games, right? Well, think about Steve's condition, right? Where he can play the games and see it, but sometimes text is way too small, right? Using a keypad, an on-screen keypad is too difficult. Imagine if it is that you can see the broad strokes of the video game, you know what you're playing, but then there's a message pops up and you can just feel it with your fingers in the back, right?
Yep.
You go in, you want a quick chat? You can quick chat quicker writing with Braille than getting on top of the screen or leaning back or trying to figure out the right angle for it.
Yep. Yeah, and it may not be every game that it will suddenly let you play, right? But that's the point. It's getting you closer to experiencing, the games and maybe the way that you want to and are able to, because everybody has different accessibility issues. And yeah, just the fact they're exploring it is awesome. And props to Microsoft. They've been far and away, right, the company that's been loudest about
Yeah.
getting out there to the point they're making hardware.
I feel Microsoft
not
with the
about
hardware.
profit, you know?
Ubisoft, Steve, whenever he comes on here, talks about them bringing him in to be an accessibility, advocate for how Ubisoft games could be better and built better for everybody. Like, there's a lot. This is a real movement, and it's glad to see that it has teeth and it actually is getting traction and moving forward.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know Braille, so I couldn't comment on whether or not this is realistic or not. But again, the idea of it to me sounds awesome. So
Sure.
hopefully it's true.
Can you imagine if you did know Braille? That's just like
It's a
Fran's
pretty cool
superpower.
skill.
Hell yeah,
it's a pretty
amazing.
cool skill. But yeah.
Fran, let's get nerdy about the Division 2. This is the final story today. Division 2 did its normal State of the Game update. They put out a written version of it as well. Here's what's happening. The Division
News from
2.
Hamish.
Yeah,
thinking
exactly. It
about
is. The Division 2 Title Update 3 is going to be out next week, Fran. However, the raid won't be immediately with it. It will follow soon after, they keep saying, but you'll get a date for the raid next week.
Okay.
So
Then we can plan it.
Title Update 3 is out next week, and then, the raid details to follow. But here's the thing. Gear score, which matters so much in there, is not going to go beyond 500, which is the current cap.
Yes.
Right? And granted, you can push it, but you know what I mean.
And I know you have a lot more to read here, but as we read through it, they had said they were going to put 515 in the dark zone. I think they're pulling back on it is what I'm reading.
Yeah.
Okay.
So here we go. The reasoning why they're capping it at 500. Our intention, as always, is for players to enjoy the content they love and continue to make progress with their agent. After talking about loot and gear score in a lot of meetings, chats, and video calls many whiteboards being filled out with thoughts, notes, and graphs, we decided that with all the changes coming in Title Update 3, increasing the gear score at this point would have created a couple of issues. Gear score 500 items would have been outdated immediately, and all the effort you put into min-maxing and farming your builds so far would have been wasted just as the raid goes live. We don't want to invalidate your progression, and we heard your feedback loud and clear from our community. Your gear and your builds are important to you and to us. The statistical increase in stats would have made gear better, but we don't want the focus to be on constantly chasing a higher gear score, when it should be about finding a playstyle and build that you enjoy. Operation Dark Hours, the 8-player raid coming in Title Update 3, will also provide gear score 500 rewards. The raid will offer exclusive loot, including new gear sets and a new exotic weapon. We're very excited for you to experience the first raid in Division history, which we hope to be a great addition to the end game. So this is one part of it, right? And the other part was, well, cool, how do we get more 500 gear scores? There are 500 pieces of gear.
Yeah.
This is how they're clearing.
Because you get drops that are like random.
Yeah.
You might get a 483.
Yeah.
Even though I'm like 508, I might get a 487. And I'm like, wait, I wanted that gun, but now it's not high enough.
Exactly. Here's how they're fixing that. Moving forward, to make it clear where to get gear score 500 items, we've made the following changes in Title Update 3. We've increased the rewards for daily priority hard and challenging missions. Once you've reached gear score 500, those activities will guarantee gear score 500 drops. Heroic mission bosses, stronghold bosses, and bounty bosses, as well as control point alert level 4 reward containers, guarantee gear score 500 items if your average gear score is set at 500. Dark Zone, contaminated loot does not drop below players' average gear score. When you've reached an average gear score of 500, contaminated loot will guarantee gear score 500 items. We've balanced loot across the board to reduce your chances of items dropping at a lower gear score than that of your character. Fran, we're in the end game now. You are one of these min-maxers. You're worried about, how does all this sit with you? What do you think of the news here? Are you mad that it's not going up? I saw I was watching it live and the Twitch chat was like, wow,
yeah,
I want higher gear score.
Sure. So they did, to be fair, they had talked about doing a higher level drop. They were talking about doing it in Dark Zone, though. And it wasn't, as I understood, going to be coming from the raid, or we didn't know. And it seemed a little odd to me that it was just in the Dark Zone, but I know they wanted to incentivize people to get into the Dark Zone. And I did think that was smart. However, I actually wholeheartedly agree, on paper anyway, without playing it, I wholeheartedly agree with this. Like, I've got a lot of gear. The last thing I want is to lose. I have an LMG that I have not gotten after many, many hours in any other form at any other level. And so the last thing I want is to get a 515 drop, and I have to ditch that, as well as many other things. It's a lot of burn, and I think you're getting into such a niche of players at that point that it's just asking too much. I actually wholeheartedly agree. Like, keep it at 500. We can't even get consistent 500 drops, because that's also been an issue. Like, I might just want to level up some of my armor. but then I have stuff that's too low and it won't go to 515 because you can recalibrate your armor up, right? So anyway, I think this is going to solve a lot of issues where you're playing on hard now that you're high enough, you're playing on challenging. So I like all that stuff. The one thing that sticks out to me as odd, but I have never experienced this, is because the game is so build driven versus maybe the gear score and the power. It's really odd to me that the incentive, they're not incentivizing you to go into the raid to get higher level gear.
Yeah, right. That's the weird thing.
But when you think about it, it creates the same issue, which is suddenly I'm getting these gear sets and I want to try them out, but then that's it. Like only high stuff comes out of the raid. Now I got to ditch my build that was working awesome. And so I think there's something to it. I've just never experienced that there's no chase for power in the potentially the biggest endgame activity.
Yeah.
So it seems odd, but I like the idea to not have to, I can't do any inventory management in that game, man. And that's all that game is sometimes. So I don't know, how do you feel about this?
It's a weird thing because the gear score, I agree, it doesn't break it, but it is like, oh, cool. Look, I'm working on this gear set, right? Like I'm getting the true Patriot gear set, right? And it's like I'm getting items for it that are below my current gear. And I'm like, well, why would I ever equip this?
Yeah, see, and you're not 500 yet, right?
I'm about there, but yeah.
When you get some of this stuff, you're going to run into the problem we're talking about, which is you'll have old True Patriot set stuff, and you're like, cool, I almost have a full set, but some of those drops now are going to be like 470, and you're like, So to start getting the guaranteed drops, you're going to have a higher chance to fill in those gaps and get everything like locked in. And so that's my hope, is that the update goes out, we're able to fill in some of these gaps, get to the level with the items we need. But even that is a tremendous grind. Sometimes you're searching for a type of, gear set, and it takes a while to get a reasonable drop. And so it's probably good they're not changing the gear score, honestly. So it's the right call.
Here's the big question for us, Fran. We got to figure out the Kind of Funny clan on PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
Because I'm like I said, I'm on there. It's just me and Poe Dameron. Now, I'm not expecting people to be on there all the time. Also, I don't know how much, when you look at the clan membership, right? We have all 50 people there on the PlayStation 4 Kind of Funny clan. Yeah. You look at it, it shows the gear score for people, right? There are currently a lot of zeros in a way that looks bugged. Okay.
It is. It's not. So I ran into the same thing. So if you look into your clan menu, if you guys are part of a clan and division, there's a ton of it would say you were a 0.
Fuck that.
And I was like, I know that's not true. So it's hard to see who's active and who's not. I know what you're getting at. Because I wanted to go through and clean house. I'm like, all right, if you're not playing,
what do we do?
If you're level 27 and you're not playing more, that's fine. But there's people who want to play. I think, because I started to do it, you can actually inspect them. And then you can see, I believe, but I didn't even trust it so we need a better way to manage that clan system. I don't even know if that's been on their menu of fixes, but maybe the overarching point, Greg, which is we're lucky enough to already have 50 people in the clan and a voice to the players and say, hey, make sure that you're on next week so we can play. But it is quieting down. It plays right into this games as a service discussion.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Everybody was super stoked for the raid.
I don't mind people dropping off to go play something else. It's more the thing of like, I can't separate it from now. Who's gone forever? If you're in the Kind of Funny Division clan on PlayStation 4, our one, and you're never going to play Division again, or just don't think you play that much, go in and quit. Go ahead and quit the clan.
Exactly.
Make some room for other best friends. Yeah, especially as we get ready for raid.
It's very hard for us to find a spot for someone quickly when we're going through and we see a bunch of zeros. So
hopefully maybe Title Update 3 patches that, but I don't know. Obviously they were reading through the patch notes today, but it was a very long conversation. I didn't see them posted anywhere by the time we went live.
But maybe bigger than all this, as a quick last note, is that it's not just about this 500 gear score stuff. This was the new info. The big news is that with this update, there's new recalibration stuff, how you compare stuff. There's a bunch of changes with stats and the way that stuff works. And so people are afraid that that's already another issue, which is why I don't think they wanted to compound it. You're going to have a gear set and you're like, wait, this gun is no longer as awesome as it was. Now, according to them, as you change, everything changes. So we're going to have a lot to get used to.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll see. Maybe we go on the other side and we're like, oh, I don't really like these changes. But I don't know. We'll see. As long as it doesn't screw up any of my current stuff.
As long as it doesn't affect Fran, he doesn't care. That's fine. Breaking news for you. One that was percolating as we got live, but now there's a full write-up on it. Over at gamesindustry.biz, Brendan Sinclair reports, U.S. legislator proposes loot box ban. The debate over loot boxes continues as U.S. Senator Josh Hawley that's right. Today said he will introduce legislation to ban publishers from using exploitive game mechanics in titles aimed at children, and to prohibit children from accessing them in games aimed at adults. According to Hawley, the Protecting Children from Abusive Games Act would prohibit offering randomized rewards to players through microtransactions, manipulating a game's progression system to encourage players to spend money, or giving players who purchase microtransactions competitive advantages over others. The Federal Trade Commission would be responsible for enforcing the rules, treating the use of such mechanisms as an unfair trade practice. Individual states would also be able to sue companies over violations to protect their residents.
Yeah, we've seen this happen in other
Sure, Sweden was all over it, right? Yeah.
So I don't think anybody is against the base idea of this. Because,
Sure.
they'll say, I want our loot boxes that take advantage of me or just trying to steal my money. But somebody's got to be on top of this to regulate it in a way that doesn't make it bad on some other side, right? Where maybe they start applying it to other things within game systems.
Well, I mean, even this is just so, prohibit offering randomized rewards to players through microtransactions. Well, that is a loot box,
prohibit offering randomized rewards
to players through microtransactions.
Through microtransactions.
So
I don't know.
I can buy the...
That is a loot box, like you said.
Exactly, and I can buy in Division right now a cosmetic loot box. Does that fall under... And that is what that is, right? Where I go and I can just buy it and then...
So that's exactly it. Like... Are they literally just potentially going to ban something like that, or is someone going to regulate? Like, look, no, we're just going to look at how you've done it, and as long as you, who's the one who's deciding if it's egregious? That's
or not?
what I'm saying.
This is the same thing as always, slippery slope, where this always starts, right? Of like whoever gets to interpret the law can then use it to their.
Yep. As I recall, as a good example, I think, but you'll tell us, but I think Apex had done a reasonable job of exposing everything. So that's the thing.
And that's the thing is if I show you drop rates and I show you what you could get, does that get you out of it?
Yeah, I don't know if it gets you out of it according to what they want to do. I mean, this isn't a law or anything yet. It's just something.
It's being proposed. We'll see.
But these are, like you said, slippery slope.
The next 15 years probably.
So I mean, I don't know, like. A world without microtransactions, I don't really care because I don't want to have to do that in general. But if it means, because the flip side is if they're making a bunch of money on people who want that stuff, the flair, we've all been there in throughout our lives. Like you go to like a concert and you might just want to buy like a dumb like thing that's flair and it's a complete waste of your money. But like you're excited, you want to be a part of it, have some extra.
Man.
And again, probably a total ripoff. But the point is that if it doesn't affect the game and if you have a little fun with it, then maybe there's something there. As long as the developer makes money, that they can continue to power making great games. And so you got to have that balance, I think.
Fran?
Yes.
I love a good balance. But balance is so far away. If I wanted to know something more immediate, like say what came to the mom and pop shops, where would I go?
The official list of upcoming software across each and every platform as listed by the Kinda Funny Games Daily Show host each and every weekday.
Yeah. Out today. Pillars of Eternity 2, Deadfire is celebrating its 1-year anniversary with Update 5.0. Legend of the Tech Arcs is on Xbox One and PC. The Adventures of Bertram Fiddle, Episode 1, A Dreadly Business is on Xbox One. Woodle Tree Adventures is on Xbox One. Party Arcade is on PlayStation 4. Meow Motors is on Switch. And Danger Gazers is on PC. Who the fuck is coming up with these names? I feel like I'm in a video game, and these are the generic video games I'm pulling off the shelf and talking about.
A fake e-commerce store that's in the game.
New dates for you. Battle Gagrega and Aegis Defenders will be getting physical copies this Friday, May 10th. Mm-hmm. Peanut, the 8-bit-like 2D platformer adventure featuring a cute corgi, will be released on Steam on May 14th. Swords of Gargantua VR game is coming out. It's a global open beta, May 15th through the 21st. On May 15th, classic NES games Donkey Kong Jr., Clue Land, and Verse Excitebike are coming to the Nintendo Entertainment System Nintendo Switch Online
May
collection.
15th.
And then Capcom this is from GameSpot. Capcom is airing a Monster Hunter World Spring Update reveal live stream later this week on May 9th. The broadcast kicks off at 4 p.m. Pacific and will share new information about the game straight from the development team. Deals of the day, I got 2 for you. Number 1, there's 2 new PlayStation VR bundles. Blood and Truth and Everybody's Golf are getting bundled with the camera, the Move wands, and the headset, and that's coming out May 28th for $349.99. And then Trover Saves the Universe is getting bundled with Five Nights at Freddy's and the camera, the headset, no Move wands on May 31st for $299.99. Then over on the Microsoft Store, you can get Devil May Cry 5 and Resident Evil 2 on sale right now.
Good games.
You don't play the VR, right?
No, I just don't have the space for it. I would love to. That's why I'm interested in Quest for that reason.
Quest is good.
Yeah,
You should
to
borrow
go
mine if you wanna try it,
hands- Oh, that's right. You actually. All right,
Yeah.
I will do that.
Big fan.
Yeah, because then I hope I just sit in whatever, because I stream, sit in a space that's a little smaller, but we'll see. Small apartments out here.
David Scott writes into patreon.com/kindoffunnygames and says, "What's up, KFGD crew? So I'm a big VR enthusiast, and I understand you guys don't know a lot about that gaming world. Fuck you, I know a lot about PlayStation VR.
Tell him.
Just PlayStation VR. If you're talking about PC, which it sounds like you probably are, then no, you're right. Is there any part of the gaming industry you wish you guys knew more about, like VR? Is there a niche that you wish you had someone at Kind of Funny to know more about?" David Scott.
When is there not an area of like
Gaming?
like
Giant,
Monster
bro.
Hunter World? I didn't know if you
we
got to
loved
play
it. Oh my God,
You
yeah.
got to play
We
it?
did 130
So-
hours. Yeah, we were obsessed with
I
it.
would have loved it. Didn't have the time, but meaning there's always some category.
Yeah.
Jared, I feel like was a little more of our like old school wisdom. I don't know if anybody else around here has that, but there's. Don't you always feel that?
Nick's old.
He has no wisdom.
Oh God.
Totally, yeah, no, I know. I think it's interesting at the end of David's question. He's like, "Someone Kind of Funny." For me personally, I wish that I had an interest in esports.
Oh yeah.
I wish that and I mean, I know Andy likes Overwatch League, which is it's one thing to talk about it, but I wish that like I cared enough about any of them, and even games I like. Like I like playing Rocket League, but I don't watch Rocket League Championship Series, right? Like, and I love talking about Rocket League, and I love talking to players from Rocket League that are super into it. We did that San Diego event last year at Comic-Con. That was awesome. I love that part of it. And granted, I like to think part of my job is I can talk to anybody about anything.
Yeah.
Their passion pays off me, but like. I just like when it's when it is Overwatch League and like I know Lucy's into it and I know Andy's into it and Nick isn't, but he fakes it. Like it'd be cool to be like, I want to go to LA and I want to go to the arena, I want to do this, but it's just like it's just not for me.
Yeah.
I really wish I had my head around esports better.
Yep. No, I think that's probably the biggest one. Esports would have been a solid one on the team. Tell Andy to get more into it, man.
No, he's into it, but I just don't want to hear him fucking talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, because all he says, "Woof, dude, burn blue, Dallas, they did this thing last night." I'm like, what are they playing Division? Then I don't give a shit.
If I had the time, I'd be into that and much more. I just don't have the time. That's my issue.
What are you so busy doing, huh?
Living life, Kevin.
He's got to live, Kev.
Living life and streaming.
Borzen00 writes into patreon.com/kindoffunnygames and says, "Good morning, Greg and Fran. I have a question on if you believe it's okay to separate the art from the artist. I bring this question up as the past few weeks we've been drowning in stories about Randy Pitchford and other not so nice topics. Games are made by people who are not these people, but buying supporting games are also kind of supporting these people. What are your thoughts on separating art from the artist and how to handle some of the complex topics on the things we love? Thanks for everything."
Is that a way of saying, should you buy Borderlands 3 with all this happening?
I mean, I think it's,
effectively,
the last two
with all these
games
issues.
dailies have been like, very much major stories and conversations around the Randy tweets, then David Edding's tweets, and then all this stuff in the back and forth.
Totally.
And why argue about Microtransactions, why I go after it's all that stuff.
Yeah, or the issues at Riot, should you play a league,
yeah.
and on we go. I mean, that is absolutely it, is that it is a whole team of people.
Mm-hmm.
There's a ton of great people out there making these games. So for me, the answer is very simple. Yeah, I mean, I can completely separate the game and the art and what it is from some of these issues. These also are not, in other words, the issues
These
are
specific
problematic.
examples, yeah.
Yeah, but I was going to say they're not like huge. You're not supporting some like awful cause and monetary fund for someone who's out there warmongering or whatever it is. Not that some of these things are okay, but I guess my point is it's a little easier to say, look, the game's amazing. There's amazing people working on it.
For the Randy stuff,
what I mean?
right? Wherever, and like this is, of course, as I've brought up on both these shows now 3 in a row, the fact that a very personal relationship that also includes business, 2 of them, I guess, in this situation, are being aired in public now.
Yeah.
And like, don't get me wrong, I'm not at all trying to justify or put aside. I mean, obviously, if Randy really physically assaulted Eddings, like he said, that's fucking bullshit, and that's a huge fucking problem, and that's not okay. That's something that you should. Obviously, I'm saying.
He said, she said, we don't know, right? There's a lot of that going on.
And so, like, it's a giant ball of wax there to try to unpack, right? And we're seeing it happen live in public, in a public forum, whereas usually that kind of shit would happen behind, and you'd never even know if everything works.
Right.
I'm not saying that's good or bad. What I am saying is, again, what I thought was so powerful at the Borderlands event was when Randy and Paul were joined by the entire staff behind them, the hundreds of people the people that couldn't even be there that were still gone, right? That were still in Texas or Quebec. Like, it's like a lot of people work on that game, and I don't want, in this specific instance, that whatever is happening or not happening with Randy and his personal cohorts, right, to then affect what you think of that game. Because it's not like I think, and I don't know, it's not like I think though Randy is at Gearbox and people are coming in and they're like, what should the level look like? And he's like, look at like this, and what should the story be? It looks like this, and who should voice it? It's gonna be this, and it's like he's not the end all be all of that game.
He's a director, obviously, but yeah, I mean, there's an entire team behind it. That's the point. Yeah, we are in no way saying we're siding with Eddings or Pitchford or like it's a whole ball of wax, like you said. I'm not condoning what's going on or maybe what happened and how bad this or that sounds. It's really that, to the question, there's amazing people that work on these games, and we talked about it when Anthem was a flop, and people are like, well, should I support it? If because they might just go off and make bad games again. It's like, look, like at the end of the day, you just judge the game, and maybe don't overthink the people behind it unless there's something really bad happening. But,
that's the thing is I like playing tight right now with what we know about this one instance, right? I think it's a different thing if it was. I'm not going to use real people's names. It's a smaller developer of 7 people, and the person who is pretty much at the top of it turns out to be a fucking Nazi. And it's like, well, then okay, this is a different,
much different issue.
This is a different thing that is not. I don't know if I can separate art from the artist, right?
Yeah.
Like no, like
that's what I was saying.
Exactly. That's why I want to be clear that I don't think this is a broad brush. Separate the art from the artist. I think it also comes down to personal decision, your own ethics, and your own moral compass, and where you draw the line. And like, okay, that's unacceptable, and there needs to be a repercussion for that.
Right. Yeah, and you can use the product to fight back against people in positions of power. Obviously, like if people are unhappy with the league situation and the outcome of whatever happened, you can stop playing the game and try to protest through those means. And again, I think that's a way to protest and support however you want. But again, if you're just like, should I just buy the game? Look at the game itself, and if that's your main thing right now, I don't think you need to worry about some of these squabbles.
Unless it turns out that all 100 people on stage also punched David Eddings.
Exactly.
It turns out
then we're in big trouble. Then it's a big fight club, apparently.
They all put on their leather cuts and get on their Harleys and ride away. Sorry.
Yeah. Definitely not a great issue, but we'll see.
We'll keep you posted as whatever happens
every
with that
other
whole
day.
Fucking ball. I know, right? Exactly. Ken was like, how's the news today? I'm like, you know what? It's pretty normal, which is nice for a change, because it's not this weird like, what the fuck's going on?
Exactly.
Fran, it's time to squad up. This is where one of you writes into patreon.com/kindafunnygames. Give me your name, username, platform of choice, why you need help in a video game. I read it here. The best friends come and find you. I don't need a pen. Abe writes in to patreon.com/kindafunnygame. He needs games. He needs help on PC. Oh, God. His Discord server apparently is Zaxxon Galaxian #2956. It'll be in the YouTube description. Come on, you PC. I'm kidding around.
Discord, baby.
Zaxxon Galaxian #2956 says tax season is over, which means I can finally use my PC to actually play games again. Looking for some best friends to help me back into Fortnite, Apex Legends, and other multiplayer goodness. I usually get online between 7 and 10 p.m. Eastern time most days, depending on work. The best way to find me is through Discord at Zaxxon Galaxian #2956. Parentheses, I am in the KF Discord if it makes it easier to find me, and parentheses. Steam, Epic Game, EGS, Epic Game Store, and Origin are under that name as well. Give or take a clan tag spacing depending on character limit. I look forward to experiencing Season 9 of Fortnite with some new best friends. If you want to play with Galaxian's Galaxian, or I've already turned the page and forgot.
Yeah, there's kind of funny Discord server. You can check that out.
Totally.
Also, there's an FM3, discord.gg/FM3. There's no underscore in that one, Greg.
Well, I'm sure Gary Witta has one. What's Good has one.
Nobody's got Discords. I'm surprised, but people like...
Oh, for sure What's Good does, right? Andrea's always talking about that.
I think What's Good does.
Yeah, she's What's Good. The What's Good Guardians.
I'm not totally surprised, but like out of the crew here, not a ton of people use Discord as much. But to be fair, it is... I really got into it because of Destiny and PC chat.
I think it's a PC thing, right? And I think PlayStation's good enough that you don't have to worry about it.
It is a PC thing, but I do actually, it's just an amazing like chat tool to chat in a group. It's like a live version of Reddit. You can go in a room about X and have a great community just able to
see. That's why it doesn't work for me though. Yeah. It's because just chat rooms are so hard to keep up with to begin with. You go in there, you gotta scroll the way back.
Depends on how busy they are. You should try one.
Kind of Funny is pretty popular. It's pretty popular.
All right.
Don't worry about it. I see you over there.
You need to join a smaller server, Greg.
Come on in. It's time to go to You're Wrong. We ask people watching live on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames to go to kindoffunny.com/you're wrong and tell us what we screw up as we screwed up so we can set the record straight for everybody watching later on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. As usual, the only time we talk about this Ghost Recon thing is when it's breaking news, and then you're wrong. Apparently, there's been a leak. I saw it pop up over here on Reddit that, an image leaked out that talks about Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint, Wolves Collector's Edition.
Okay.
So maybe that hasn't been officially leaked. There was a good question in here, though, because, it's tomorrow is this stream, right? There was a good question here from Andrew Dramas. I'm gonna say Dramas, who's like, good morning, blah, blah. I'd like to hear your thoughts on whether the reveal for Ghost Recon could be something that it isn't. Ubisoft has another IP. People have been speculating that Watch Dogs is going to invade this. We're doing a Ghost Recon thing, and then they're going to invade because, technically, it was 2017 that we got Wildlands, which wasn't that long ago, 2 years ago, and then we got Watch Dogs in 2016. So it feels like, Watch Dogs has been the one they've been teasing.
Saying that they're going to combine into...
No. People are saying, which I fucking love,
it's bait and switch?
Is that this Ghost Recon thing is all bullshit.
Oh, it's like a hacked Watch Dogs
Wildlands
thing.
did just put out a piece of DLC, story DLC, that it has Shane from The Walking Dead in it, and Punisher. I can never remember his name, sorry. In it. And so it's like this thing of, are they trying to drum up this excitement for Ghost Recon so that they can they can start this thing? We're doing the Ghost, and it goes like, boom, boom, and it's like dead sec, and it's like,
that would be
Dogs.
interesting. I like the theory. I don't know that there's that, but just out of curiosity, with the image, does it look markedly different than the version from 2017? All the jungle and hard to tell.
What do you mean?
In other words, does it look like it might be set in, South America?
Oh, we don't even
Costa
know
Rica?
that much. Like, there's a teaser thing, and then there's this thing on Reddit here that's a screen grab of
Breakpoint, and it's a dude in
It's a dude in a poncho. It looks like a generic dude with a giant gun.
Hard to tell.
It would be fucking awesome, I think, if they were. And I was like, well, why don't you do Assassin's Creed? And I was like, oh, well, Assassin's Creed would get people really angry.
Yeah.
Ghost Recon, a smaller Ubisoft franchise that's popular enough, and you just got a piece of story DLC.
I think you just hit the nail on the head, though. Do you really want to piss off
your audience?
all of the Ghost Recon fans by doing this? Sounds fun, but I think it's going to be Ghost Recon. So. What else we get wrong? If anything.
Fiery says that yes, Apex drop rates were provided. I'm sorry, they were proved to not be accurate. He says.
Damn.
But
Source.
He doesn't have a link. He doesn't have a link. I don't believe it.
That I don't know if that's true. They did provide it. My guess is that was just a bug or something.
And then Lord of Pwn says John Bernthal is the Punisher and Shane from The Walking Dead. That is correct. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This has been Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about. If you like that, be part of the show. Patreon.com/kindoffunnygames with your questions, comments, concerns, everything under the video game sun. Of course, you can watch us live, twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. Watch us later, youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. Listen to us on podcast services around the globe. Fran, it's always a pleasure.
Let's get back into Vision, baby.
I'll see you again. If we're going to be in DC tonight, I'll see you tomorrow for Gamescast. Patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. Then, of course, like I said, twitch.tv/FM3_.
Thank you, Greg.
You can see Fran anytime. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.